And that's probably, I would say that's somewhere near a half to 3/4 of a cup of shortening.
Okay.
And then I take a little bit and I grease my pan. And to make this mini biscuits, to fill this, it will take about a half of the half gallon.
Okay.
You want to open that for me?
Yeah, 1 second.
And you just slowly pour your buttermilk, a little bit of it in, and start working the shortening first with the buttermilk. And as you're doing that and squishing it through, it's going to be picking up some of the dry flour, a little at a time. You don't want to grab real deep, and you want to work off the top of your well. And once that's absorbed, you add some more.
So you just said you're going to use just half of that?
Probably about half of it. Mm-hmm.
Julie, have you ever made biscuits like this?
I always plan to have time to taste mine before I serve them.
Oh.
That's about half.
Yeah, that's about half of it. And so now you just continue with slowly getting that. And as you see, I go to the middle and then I'll go to the outside edge. And when I go to the outside edge, that's going to pull in some dry flour. But you don't want to dig down into the dry flour. You just want to slowly, we call it pulling it in. You can also do it in a circular motion as it starts to be mixed, just because when you roll it around in that, each time you roll, you can see the dry flour on the outside edges coming to it. Because you're pulling from the side, not from the bottom, because you want it to stay.
What will happen to it if you get lumpy or?
It'll, if you over mix it too much and you make the dough what we call really stiff, they're like, you could shoot them in a slingshot.
Gotcha.
They get really tough. So now I can pick up the pace a little bit, but basically all I'm doing at this point is making sure that the wet moisture of that buttermilk is being absorbed into the flour.
And that's a lot. You gonna make that many?
It'll fill that pan. And you can freeze them.
Oh.
Now, other things that I do is sometimes I'll take half of the dough, roll it out flat, cover it with cinnamon and sugar and pecans, roll it up, and make cinnamon buns.
And how much flour was it?
You start working on 5 pounds. I just dump the bag in. Then we'll sift what's left over and put it, she's got a container.
Oh.
But you see it's starting to get thick.
Uh-huh.
And for the pinwheels, you use beef and onion?
I do beef, onion, bell pepper, whatever seasoning you like.
Okay.
Pre-brown your meat down.
Okay.
Roll it out, and then you can do the
Okay.
meat so it's cool, because if it's hot, it'll melt your dough.
Oh, okay.
And you'll have one big gooey mess.
Okay.
You like to cook?
He lives by himself. He has no choice. It's too expensive to go out to eat all the time.
It's old.
There's an Indian restaurant that's actually right next to where I work that has like an all-you-can-eat kind of like buffet for lunches.
Uh-huh.
And I've been meaning to go. When Mom came out and visited, we went there once and it was pretty good. But yeah, if I was start doing that, it would become a thing where I almost would do it once every week, and that's just
Oh, sorry, Jim.
that'd be too much.
Okay, so now we're getting it to what's called a pliable dough. So now we have to get it to a consistency that will make a biscuit. And the way you do that at this point, when it's gooey and sticky like this, you take from the outside and you throw a little flour up all the way around. And then you start to fold it over itself and it'll become dry. Matter of folding it in on itself until you feel you don't want it to be sticky, but you don't want it, if you get it to the stage of like silly putty, you've done too much. And about this point, I take and I get some dry flour for my hands and I go over and clean the sticky stuff off my hands so I can work with it without making it goo. Because we're almost to the point where we need to be to make biscuits. You see, you're still able to move it, and yet it's not sticking to your hand. Because this is where people begin to go wrong. They just keep adding dry flour, and that's not what you want to do. Now, if you want to feel what that feels like, it's still squishy, but not.
It's almost like kind of like Play-Doh.
Mm-hmm. Kind of.
Okay.
Okay. So now, I just take and pinch a hunk off, roll it over once in dry flour, and you tuck the ends under. Give it a little roll, and there's your biscuit.
All right then.
You pinch it off. Now, some people roll theirs out and cut it with cookie cutters. My mother said, why would you mess up a counter when you don't have to?
That's pretty good.
All right.
Here's your biscuits.